Good morning.
Morning.
If you believe you can do so safely and responsibly, testifying without a mask would be our preference. Would that be something you could feel that you could do today?
No.
All right. If you prefer to maintain your mask, I understand. Pull the microphone much closer because it does muffle our sound naturally.
Okay.
And if I have trouble hearing you and I'm really close to you, I'll ask you to do even closer just so everybody who's a little further away can hear. And as you can hear, the blowers are on this morning, so it muffles sound a little bit. Thank you.
Okay.
Please proceed, Attorney Raymond.
Thank you. Could you please state your full name, both first and last, for the record, and then spell both your first and last name?
Cresent Lasai, Cresent, L'Sai.
And Ms. Lasai, do you know somebody by the name of Dulce Melander?
Yes, I do.
How do you know her?
She's my girlfriend.
Okay. And does she refer to you often as Cress?
Yes, everyone mostly does. And you
Okay.
can as well.
And do you know somebody by the name of Catherine Melander?
Yes, I do.
How do you know her?
I know her through Dulce. She's her daughter.
Okay. And through Catherine or Kat, did you become acquainted with somebody by the name of Chandler Halderson?
Yes.
And the judge will probably ask everyone to remove their masks, besides you and the jury. But could you see Mr. Halderson Chandler in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
As you look at the faces, I'll ask everyone not in the jury box to lower their mask and then replace their mask, please. Go ahead and answer the question if you could.
Yes.
Could you just let us know where he's seated and perhaps the color of his shirt?
Well, he's sitting over across the room over there. He's got a blue tie on.
Okay, I'd ask the record to reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
It shall.
What sort of relationship did you have with Chandler in June or so of 2021?
This year?
Yes.
Well,
Last year technically because it's January, but yes.
true, yeah. Well, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with Chandler. I to know him through Catherine mostly. Most
Sure.
of the times I saw him were either get-togethers or through her.
Okay. And roughly, where do you live?
In Cottage Grove, in the town.
In a rural part of Cottage Grove?
Yes.
Okay. And just while I approach you, I'm going to put my mask on.
Thank you.
Nobody's ever complained I was quiet. I'm going to show you what's been marked and received as Exhibit 57. Is this an overhead picture of your property in Cottage Grove?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So your house, you can barely see the roof right there. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's in the wooded area.
Okay. And that's like the top half, almost right in the middle of Exhibit 57. And this is a barn or a shed?
Yeah, it's an old tobacco shed.
Okay. And right here, this is a pool?
Yes.
Okay. And all of this wooded area, is that your property?
Yes.
And there's more property over here that's not shown.
True. That's correct.
What is on that property?
You mean the part that's unseen?
Yeah.
It's all grassy area. It's in a CRP program, a set-aside program, so it's just for wildlife.
So it's like wildflowers. Some people might describe it as like a briar, like little bushes.
Yeah, there's actually wild raspberries and things that can grow in there, right?
Before July 4th weekend, how many times approximately had Chandler been out to your property?
Ooh, I couldn't say exactly. I could give you an estimate.
Sure, an estimate is just fine.
Like 10 or 12 times, maybe.
Okay. And did he ever come out there prior to the July 4th weekend by himself, or was he always with somebody else?
He always was with someone else. He'd never come out there alone before that I'm aware of.
Okay. And generally, I assume that was his girlfriend, Kat?
Yeah, she was always with him.
Okay. And prior to July 4th weekend, what understanding did you have as far as what Chandler did for a living?
Well, what I understood is he'd gotten a job at American Family. He was working there as far as I knew.
And did you have any understanding as if he was attending school or not?
I wasn't, I knew he had been in school, but I didn't know if he was going to school recently, but I knew he was in school. He was getting ready to graduate.
Okay. Do you see Chandler Halderson over the July 4th weekend?
Yes,
And what day did you see him?
on Sunday,
So July 4th itself.
yes.
How did Mr. Halderson behave on that day?
Well, he kind of seemed a little lot not like himself. If that
Can
makes
you
sense.
describe that? What do you mean by that?
He just seemed kind of off, like kind of weird, actually.
Okay.
I mean, I remember asking him how he felt, because he just kind of seemed.
Okay. You asked him how he felt. What did you remember how he responded?
Yeah, he just said, "Oh, I'm doing okay, or I'm doing the best that I can," and because he had an accident, he fell down the stairs or something. So I thought maybe it was because of the accident that he was acting off.
Sure. Was he displaying any physical symptoms on July 4th?
Not that I saw, no.
Okay. Was he wearing a neck brace at all on July 4th when you saw him?
No,
Did he act in any way that he seemed like disabled? Did he have any trouble walking or anything like that?
no, I didn't notice that.
Okay. Did you have any one-on-one conversations with Chandler on July 4th?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, shortly after he was done eating, the kids were sitting at the table in my family room, and they'd gotten up, and I was kind of walking towards the kitchen, and he approached me and asked me if he could have my phone number, my personal phone number, because he wanted to know if he could come and use the pool.
Okay. Did you give him your number?
Yeah, I gave him my cell number, and I also gave him my landline,
Okay.
because I don't always answer my cell phone, and I don't have voicemail on my cell phone.
Okay. Did you guys have any further discussion on that day?
I don't recall.
Okay. So obviously prior to July 4th, he didn't have your number to your knowledge.
Not to my knowledge, I didn't give it to him.
Okay. And in all fairness, when you hung out with Chandler prior to July 4th, it was always with other people,
Yes,
namely Dulce and her family.
correct.
Okay. As of July 4th, did you have any knowledge about the whereabouts of Chandler's parents?
No, I didn't even know their names.
Did you know whether or not, had you heard any stories or anything about them being missing at this point?
No.
Okay. Let's fast forward to the next day, Monday, July 5th. Did you have any interactions with Chandler on Monday, July 5th?
Yes.
What's the first interaction you had with Chandler on that day?
The first interaction was I opened up my window. I live in a two-story, and I saw a car in my driveway. I came in from outside to get a drink of water, and I saw a car, and I didn't recognize the car. And someone was standing in my driveway, and it was Chandler. So I
Okay.
opened the window because he was kind of standing, holding his phone and looking around. And so I opened the window, and I asked him if he was okay. And he said, yeah. And I said, are you here to use the pool? And he said, yeah, would that be all right? And I said, yeah, sure.
Were you expecting Chandler that day?
No.
Okay. All right. So do you remember about what time he showed up to use your pool? Just approximate, if you remember.
It was in the afternoon. I just remember coming in. It was really hot that day. I was working on a project. And so I came in to get a drink of water. So it was probably mid-afternoon-ish, I would say.
Okay. And what was Chandler like when you talked to him right there about using the pool? Was there anything noteworthy?
You mean when he was in the driveway?
Yeah.
Well, he just looked a little kind of spaced out a little bit, you know.
Sure.
That's why I was kind of, you know, because he kept looking around and holding his phone and, you know. And like I said, I was just a little startled because I'm like, who's here, you know?
Sure. Your property's pretty remote.
Yeah, it is.
And your property, just to clear things up, is in Dane County, Wisconsin?
Correct.
So what happened after you told Chandler he could use the pool?
Well, he drove up, you know, because if you come, I live on a hill, and when you come to the driveway, it's kind of in the middle of the hill, and so you have to drive further up the hill to where the pool is. So he drove up there.
Okay. Did you see at this time when he was going to use the pool, did you see at this time where he parked?
No, I did not see where he had parked at that time.
Okay. All right. So do you guys have any further discussion before he goes to use the pool?
He did come down to where I was working on my project, which was putting on a ramp on my deck. I was putting a ramp so that my father and my brother could get up and down the deck in their, on the scooter and the wheelchairs.
Okay.
And so when I was working on that, he'd come down, there's a hill that leads down to my house, and he'd come walking down that hill. And then we had a conversation.
What did you guys talk about?
Well, he was telling me about his accident. He said he was at a doctor's appointment. And so he was talking to me about what the doctor had said and what was going on.
Did he tell you when that appointment had been?
I don't remember.
Okay. What did he say occurred?
Well, he told me that he had like damage, and I asked him where, and he said in this area of his head, in the back of his head. And
all right. So you put your hand right
yeah,
above the
he
top
said
of your neck.
Back here, yeah.
Okay.
The back of his head.
And did he elaborate on what that damage was?
Well, he said it wasn't good, that they might have to do some surgery or something, and that he said he was having trouble like with numbers, and he said he got lost, he had to use a GPS. He's just like, said his mind was kind of messed up and wasn't thinking so well.
Okay. Did you guys discuss anything besides just his physical health?
Yeah, I asked him, you know, basically how he was, you know, overall doing, and about his job, because he said he was getting a new job in Florida, and I asked him about that, and
What did he say?
Well, he said that he probably wasn't going to get the job, that some manager had told him that it wasn't going to work out because of his injury, that he wasn't able to work. And then I'd asked him about maybe he could go back to American Family, and he said no, he didn't. He said that wouldn't happen, he wouldn't be able to do that. So he seemed concerned about, you know, maybe not having a job and what was he going to kind of do. And I asked him, you know, would he talk to his parents? You know, maybe could he talk to them, or, you know, things like that, just to try to reassure him, because he just seemed upset about this news that he had gotten from the doctor.
Sure. And what did he respond to that?
To what?
To talk to the idea of talking to his parents about his job and health.
And he said, no, they're still up north. And I just says, well, you know, maybe it would help you to talk to them. And his response is, he says, no, they'll just be mad. And which seemed odd to me, why his parents would be upset with him, that he was hurt and couldn't work. You know, it just seemed odd to me.
Okay. How long do you think this conversation took place?
Oof, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right. What happened after the conversation?
Well, I think, I'm trying to remember, Dulce showed up. She'd come, I wasn't expecting her, but she had come to the house, and she came through the house. We were sitting on the deck, and she came and was like, what's going on? And I said, oh, well, I'm just chatting with Chandler here, and I guess he doesn't have such good news. And then she came out and sat down and asked what was going on, and then we started to kind of go back over what him and I had talked about to explain to her what was happening.
Sure. And the jury's already had the opportunity to hear from Dulce, so I don't need you to repeat anything that she said.
Okay.
But what kind of happened next in the events of
Well, then
that
he
day?
went to go use the pool, because before he'd come down and I'd asked him, how was the pool? He didn't answer, and so he said he was going to go back to use the pool. And then Dulce and I continued to talk because we just felt something was a little odd, so we were concerned, and her and I had a conversation about him of what was going on.
Okay. And then what happened after that?
Well, I kind of got irritated. It was so hot, and I wanted to go swimming, and I was waiting for him to be done using the pool so I could go jump in the pool. And so I was getting impatient and waiting, wondering what was taking him so long. So I said, look, I'm going to go get in the pool. I'm done. I'm hot and I'm tired and I want to go cool off. And she said, okay. So she went to go get her suit. And then her and I have this little riding lawnmower. And so we got on the riding lawnmower to go up to tell him, hey, we're going to go swimming now. And when we got up there, he wasn't in the pool and the cover was still on the pool. And
Okay, so hold on. The pool has a cover.
yeah, I have like a solar. It heats up. It helps get the water warm, so it just lays flat on the top.
Sure.
So it's got like a little bubble.
And obviously you have to remove said cover to get into the pool.
Yeah, there's times I got lazy where I could fold it over just to get in, but I usually like to take it off so I could have the whole
Was it
pool.
folded over so somebody could get in at all?
No.
All right. So the covers on the pool is Chandler in sight when you're over by the pool.
No.
Okay. And just is Exhibit 57. Here's the pool, the round blue. This is an aerial photo, so it almost just looks like a dot.
Right, that's the pool area.
Okay. So what do you do next?
Well, when we drove up and you could kind of see no one was in the pool, and I didn't see, I was looking for him, and then when I looked to my right, when we came up the hill, I had the doors open in the shed, and I could see through the shed that his car was parked on the other side of the shed.
All right. Can you approach Exhibit 57 here and kind of point to where you saw Chandler's vehicle?
We came up, there's a hill here, and we came up, and we could see through the doors.
You could.
The car was parked right about here.
Okay. Thank you. So he was parked kind of near, this is some wood and an oil drum.
Yeah, there's a pile of timber logs, and then it's like my scrap junk pile for metal and things.
Fair. And it's kind of near the wooded line here.
Right here.
Okay. All right. So I'm not the best estimator, Judge. I would say 4 inches south of the barn, maybe 1 inch above the oil tank on Exhibit 57 is the area that the witness pointed.
That seems to be a fair description, yes.
Okay. I'm going to have you sit down just so we can hear you nice and loud on that microphone.
Okay.
So what do? You see his, oh, well, hold on 1 second. Do you remember what kind of vehicle he was driving that day?
It was like a little station wagon, like a hatchback.
Okay.
It might have been a Subaru, I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know, was the hatch open, closed, something else?
The back hatch, the back was open.
Okay. All right, so that's where you observed the car, the back hatch, or if you're not a car person like me, you say the trunk was open. What do you do?
Well, yeah, because we go and he's not in the pool, and we see the car, and then I'm like, what the heck is going on? What is he doing? And I said, well, I'm going to go over, and Dulce was like, we were like, what's he doing? What is going on?
Sure.
So we drove over to see if he was in the back of the car. Was he sleeping? What was he doing? Was he smoking weed or something? We didn't know. So we drove over there and with the mower and approached, and I drove to the back of the car because the back end was backed towards me.
Okay, so the back end was facing closer to the barn or the oil drum?
Towards me. The front end was facing the shed.
Oh, towards you right now.
Yes, towards
Okay,
me
so
right
toward
now.
the woods, towards the wood
Yeah, so
line,
it's facing this way.
the trunk hatch
Was
is up.
So
Okay.
we drove in the mower and drove to the back of the car because I thought maybe he was in the back of the car
Sure.
taking a nap or I don't know. And we look in there and there wasn't anything in the car that we could see.
Okay. And at this point, You see the car, it's empty, or there's no Chandler in it. Do you see Chandler anywhere on your property?
No, because then we stopped and we're like, what the heck? We're looking around, what's he doing? Where is he? And Dulce was kind of upset at that moment because she's thinking maybe he's doing drugs or something. She was really upset, thinking, well, he's doing drugs or something. What the hell's he doing? So I said, I don't know, but I'm done. I'm going to get in the pool. I just was hot and irritated and just didn't want to deal with it. And so I said, I'm going to the pool. So we left and drove and parked the mower by the pool.
Okay, so you took your mower,
Drove back
over by the pool.
and parked and then proceeded and got in the pool.
Okay, so you're in the pool. When is the next time you see Chandler?
Do you want me to show you on that map?
Absolutely, I would love that. Why don't you do it and then I'll say it again so it's in the mic.
We were in the pool, and I would say it was right approximately in this area. He was walking this way towards us, coming towards us. I thought maybe he was going to the car, but then he went past the car and kept coming towards us.
Okay, so why don't you sit and I'll try to say it again in the mic. So you saw him, you kind of pointed, there's some white, I don't know what that is. It
I
might
don't
just
know.
be
Oh,
wood.
those are old beehives.
Oh, okay.
I got a bunch of beehives that I cleaning out my shed, and they were old, and I just threw them out there.
Okay, was he kind of coming from that area?
Yeah, he was walking like that direction, like towards that way, yeah, coming
All
that
right,
way.
and his car was here, but he walked past his car, you said,
Yes,
and then walked over by the pool?
right.
Okay. Do you remember what he was wearing?
Like baggy shorts. He had a shirt on, I thought, before, and when he came back, he didn't have a shirt.
So when he was approaching the pool, coming out of the wooded area, no shirt?
Right.
Okay. All right, so he's approaching the pool. Does he actually get up to the pool?
Yeah, he came up to the pool, and I said, "Hey, Chandler, I don't have a shirt on."
Sure.
Because I go shirtless in my pool. That's kind of why I was waiting for him to leave, because I wanted to have the privacy to get in my pool.
Sure. Okay. You tell him you don't have a shirt on. What happens next?
And he said, "Well, if it would be all right, I'd like to get in the pool. I'm kind of sticky and I'm hot." And I remember looking at Dulce because I want to be respectful, and I said, "Well, I don't have a problem with it, Dulce, if you don't." And she just kind of was shrugged, and I kind of could tell she didn't really like it, but she just kind of turned and was sort of like, whatever. And so I said, okay. And so then I kind of turned and he got in the pool. And he went to the east side of the pool and we kind of went to the west side of the pool.
Okay, and was he actively swimming or something else?
No, he just kind of dipped up and down and kind of was like washing, like himself off. He said it was kind of scratchy on his walk and his itchy and sticky, so he was kind of like.
So you did a motion with your hands,
Yeah,
and
like
you
he
said the
kinda
word wash.
Yeah, like he'd dunk down, and then he'd kind of like, be doing like this and dunk down and kind of.
Okay, kind of washing himself, rinsing himself off.
Yeah, and then it was odd because he just seemed really different when he got in the pool from when he was talking to us before.
Different how?
Well, he seemed more lucid, like he just seemed more present.
Did you say present or pleasant?
Present,
Thank you.
like focused.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, what happened next?
Well, then Dulce was starting to ask him questions because I think she was concerned maybe he was doing some drugs, and I think she just wanted to sort of see if he was. So she started asking him questions and things like that to see how he would respond, because while he was gone and we were in the pool, that's what she spoke to me mostly about, is what's going on with him. I'm worried. I don't know why he's acting this way. What's he doing? And so
Just to clear this up, though, no paraphernalia or any evidence of drugs was ever found?
No, ever.
Okay.
And he admitted, that was one of the questions. She says, if you're doing drugs, Chandler, I'm telling you right now, that's a deal breaker. And if you ever come, and he said, I will never, ever bring drugs to the house, or I don't do drugs. He,
Okay, I just wanted to clear that
Yeah,
up.
she confronted him about that.
Okay, what happens next?
Well, we just started talking, you know, she was worried, where was he going to stay? Because he thought he lost his job. And she was offered to say he could stay maybe at her house in town for a while if he needed to.
Pardon me, I have to interrupt here. This is all hearsay.
Agreed. I'll go ahead and ask to rephrase the question, and those last responses
Sure.
fall in that category.
Outside of specifics of the conversation, how long was Chandler in the pool?
Oh, maybe 15 minutes-ish, roughly.
All right, and at some point, does he get out of the pool first, or do you?
He got out first. He said he was in a hurry. He had to go, that Catherine was getting dinner or something. And so he was like on a mission and had to like, let's go. And he got out and went to the car and drove off.
Okay, and his car that he went to was over there by the oil tank near the wood line?
Right.
All right, I just want to back up here a second. You said at first, when you first talked with him on the deck when you were working on a project with Dulce, he then left to supposedly go swimming, and then you didn't see him until he walked out of the wood line later. About what was the time gap between there? Between the time he said, I'm going to go to the pool, and the time he actually went to the pool?
The first time or the second time? Or all together? Because there was,
Altogether, so the time you were on the deck working on your project.
and he showed up until
Right,
the time
and
he
then
left.
from the time he left you at the deck area until you saw him walk out of the wooded area.
Oh,
About what was the time frame in there?
I'm guesstimating, you know, maybe 45 minutes, an hour-ish, maybe.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a guesstimate.
okay,
It was a while. To me, it seemed forever because I wanted to get in the pool.
sure.
So it just seemed like a long time.
And then after he got out of the pool, he got into his vehicle and drove away.
Yeah.
Now, later that day, did you find out that he actually had attempted to contact you prior to coming to your property?
Yeah, later, I remember seeing the message was blinking on my landline. And so I pressed it, and then a name came up, and I didn't know I didn't recognize the name, and then I heard Chandler's voice. So he had left me a message, but I didn't realize it until after he'd come and gone, and I listened to it later.
So he left you a message or a voicemail?
Yeah, and saying he wanted to come and, could he come and use the pool?
And did you turn that message or voicemail over to the Dane County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, I did.
And did you turn over a true and accurate copy of that message?
Yes, it's still on there right now.
Okay. I would at this time move Exhibit 64 into evidence.
No objection.
It is received.
Here's the and I would ask to publish the message to the jury.
You may.
Is this supposed to be going on? Okay.
The screen in front of you shows what the jury's seeing.
No. All right, thank you. That's right there.
Hi, Chris. This is Chandler. I just got back with some pretty terrible news from my doctor. So I was wondering if I could come by. Just, I don't know, take a couple laps to the pool or hang out. Something. I'm not having the most ideal day, I suppose. So call me back, 920-838-4549. Thank you. Bye.
Monday, 4:25 p.m.
And this was message 116.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. On July 7th, the next day, that Tuesday, did you receive any communication from Chandler?
Not directly from Chandler, no. But I'd heard otherwise that he was trying to come out, and I was having trouble with my phone for some reason, wasn't working my landline, and I was kind of feeling stressed and didn't really want to deal with anybody at the farm that day.
All right, and so did Chandler end up coming out on the 7th?
No.
Or, I'm sorry, that's the 7th, okay. Later in the course of this investigation, various items were found on your property that you were made aware of. Is that fair?
Yes.
Let me inquire, counsel. Thank you all. Please be seated. Attorney Raymond.
Thank you. Cress, I'm going to approach you and show you a series of pictures of things found on your property and talk to you about those. First, I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibits 58 through 63. Do you just want to flip through those?
Can I pick
Yeah,
them?
you absolutely. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions here. And we're going to have testimony about this later, but Exhibit 58 is a garbage can found in the woods. Did you keep a Rubbermaid or a black rubber garbage can in your woods?
No.
And Exhibit 59, what is that a picture of?
That's an old, I don't know if it's fuel oil or gas. It's for scrap. I just haven't took it to the salvage yard yet.
Okay. Did you keep any tools in Exhibit 59?
In there?
Yes.
No.
What is picture 60?
That's the entrance to my driveway, and I don't recognize the car. There's a bag, and that's where I keep my recycling and my trash.
And that bag appears to be a Target bag?
I think so. I'm not sure.
And 61 is a close-up of the same?
Right.
And 62 and 63 are some items that were found in that Target bag. Did those items belong to your house?
No.
Did you throw those items away?
No.
And your father is 94, you said?
Yes.
Only other person that lives there?
Right. Well, my brother, but he was at assisted living at the time.
Okay. So your father, it would take great effort to go and throw anything away outside.
No, he couldn't.
State at this time would move exhibits 58 through 63 into evidence.
Any objection?
None.
They are received.
And I will ask you about these in a minute, but if you want to just look through those in the meantime, I'm going to publish 58 through 63 to the jury. And Ms. Lasai, the little screen in front of you will have what I'm showing the jury. So what do I have to do? Thank you.
a group. Well, this is the tobacco shed that you called the barn. It's the shed. Looks better now, though.
Why does it look better now?
Well, yeah, because I cleaned it out. I got a big dumpster. Been meaning to do it for some years now. I didn't get through it because I got a little upset there for a second.
That's okay. But 66 through 70 are pictures of your barn before you cleaned it out.
That's correct.
And 71 through 74 are pictures of something that you later found in your barn during the clean out.
That's right.
Okay. I would move to admit pictures 66 through 74.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
They are received. While you have identified the exhibits and testified about them, the ability to publish them to the jury requires the state to go through them with you again, but with the jury able to see those photos at this time.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's never perfect because of the glare, but this is the garbage can picture, Exhibit 58 that I showed you that was found in the woods, but it was not yours.
No.
And how would you describe Exhibit 59?
It's an old fuel tank that's been sitting there for a while. We're going to take it to salvage, and you have to cut a hole in there so that they know you don't fill it with concrete or something, so they want to look in there.
Okay. And again, you didn't keep anything such as tools inside of it.
No.
And Exhibit 60, is that a picture at the end of your driveway?
Right.
And is this where you keep the garbage cans?
Yeah, that's where I put the trash and the recycling.
Now, during the time of this, in the first week of July, did you have an experience of your garbage cans being moved?
No, not that I'm aware of. I don't recall. I don't even know if I took trash out that week.
Okay. So you do not recall a day when they may have been at the road and then somebody put them back?
No, I'm not aware of that.
That's okay.
But that could have happened, just meaning because they'll say sometimes, like if the trash is out and she goes out, sometimes she'll put it back and I don't know about it. That could have happened. I don't know.
Sure, fair enough. But there's a Target bag here. Do you normally keep your trash outside of your garbage cans?
No, I would have put it in the trash.
All right. And that's Exhibit 60. Exhibit 61. Just a close-up of Exhibit 60.
Right.
All right, and then I showed you Exhibit 62, stuff that was found inside of that Target bag. Some rags with a substance on them. Did you throw away those rags?
No.
And Exhibit 63, just been separated out. Moving on, Exhibit 66. How would you describe Exhibit 66?
Well, that's the north side of my shed. And my little lawnmower.
Okay. And Exhibit 67?
Yeah, it's just showing you the entrance there on the north side.
Exhibit 68.
Yep, that's the messy shed.
Exhibit 69, more the same?
Right.
Exhibit 70, there's an item here along the back wall, kind of by some boards.
Yeah, there's a bird bath there.
Can you tell at all from this angle what was behind the bird bath?
Well, there's a rifle there.
And at some point, you discover a rifle in your barn.
Yes.
Do you keep guns in your barn?
Not normally. My dad, sometimes he'd keep a pellet gun up there, but he hasn't been walking for a few years, so.
So what did you do well, first off, when did you first see this gun?
Well, I was organizing along the wall, like I say, I was cleaning out my shed and I wanted to go through these like garden tools because making sure I still use them, were they broken, I was gonna throw them away, so and then I was organizing, putting lumber where the lumber goes, the recycling where the recycling goes, and so I lifted up a board, and I saw a barrel of a gun, and I thought, right away I thought, what's my dad, what the heck has he got his pellet gun over here? So I picked it up by the barrel and looked at it, and I right away recognized it wasn't a gun that I'd ever saw or seen ever before.
And just to be clear for the jury, this gun, before you lifted it up, was behind a board?
Yes, it was behind us, there was like maybe 4 or 5 different boards there.
Okay. So upon realizing you don't know where this gun came from, what do?
Well, the first thing is I just felt sort of this sick feeling, and I set it back down, and then I went to ask my father just to make sure that he didn't know about any gun in the shed, and I went and asked, and he said, well, what does it look like, or whatever, and I said, well, Dad, I'm just gonna call the police. And then I called Krista, the head of the investigation. She left me her number, and I called her and spoke with her and told her what I'd found, and she told me that she was gonna send somebody out.
Okay, and do you remember roughly what month or?
Oh, it was in the middle of October-ish, because I wanted to clean out the shed earlier, but the police were there for so long. My raspberries started, so it was after the raspberries were done, which was sometime in the end of October-ish.
Okay, all right, so it was a few months later.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you Exhibit 71. Is that a picture of the gun that you found in your barn?
It's kind of a glare.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is.
Yeah. It looks to be.
Okay.
Do you want to look at the actual photo?
Yeah, that would
I
be
sure can do that.
helpful. But it looks similar. Yes.
Ms. Raymond, if you want to show that to the jury as you walk back towards the Elmo.
Bless you.
And Exhibit 72, let's see if I get that to be a little better. That's just a close-up of the same.
Yes.
And then I actually will publish 73 and 74. So did the police then in October, after you found the gun, come and retrieve the gun?
Yes.
And in July, when Chandler was on your farm, did you have your barn or your shed locked at all?
No.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hi.
Picking up where you just left off, do you ever lock or close up that shed or barn?
I haven't for some years. When I used to go to Florida in the winter, I would close it and lock it, but I haven't been there for a while. So, no.
And is it fair to say that before you got the garbage bin and did the major cleaning of the shed, you didn't know exactly every item that was in there, right?
No, not every single item, no.
And you testified that there was a delay in getting the garbage bin and cleaning out that shed because the police were there for a while.
That's correct.
How long were they there in possession of your property or on your property?
Ooh, it seemed like forever. A couple of weeks at least, maybe longer.
And they had closed off that area to you?
Yes, they got kind of upset every time I come up with a lawnmower because I couldn't even mow my lawn, and it was frustrating. So, but they pretty much kept me by my house. They didn't really want me anywhere around.
And was it your understanding that they were searching that area at that time?
Yeah, they were searching my whole property. They served me with a warrant.
Now, moving back in time a little bit to 4th of July weekend, I think I heard you testified that Chandler Halderson was not acting like himself. Is that right?
That's correct.
And it was for that observation that you and Dulce might have thought, oh, is he doing some drugs? Is that right?
Yeah, it was a question because we couldn't figure out why he seemed a little off.
And you had never seen him like that before, right?
No.
And normally he's sort of a quiet, nerdy kid, right?
Yeah, that's a good description.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
May Ms. Lasai be excused at this time,
She's excused.
but not released?
Correct.
That means that you're still under the subpoena with which you've been served, so you can't discuss your testimony with anyone, but you're excused unless recalled by the state at any time. You can stay in touch with them. Thank you very much.
All right, thank
Have
you.
a good rest of your day.